Welcome, 8th graders, to today's Explainer. I am so excited to have you here because today we're going to unpack the Week 32 Matter and Energy Review together. We're zeroing in on something you interact with dozens of times a day, probably without even thinking about it. We're talking about water, and we'll explore why your lesson argues that water's incredible behavior is absolutely no accident.
Just picture the world around you for a second. Water is in your body, it's floating in the air you breathe, it covers the ground you walk on. Yet as incredibly common as it is, water actually behaves differently than almost any other liquid on Earth. It practically breaks the rules of standard chemistry. And today, we're going to find out exactly why that happens. So here's our agenda for today. We'll be looking at the wonder of water, the secret, hydrogen bonds, cohesion and surface tension, adhesion in action, and finally, divine design.
All right, starting right off with Section 1, the wonder of water, essential for everything. Just look at the sheer variety of things water is responsible for. Learning about water isn't just a basic science requirement, right? It literally explains our biology, how weather systems form, why cooking works the way it does, and how our planet regulates its temperature. It moves life-saving nutrients right through our bodies and supports these massive, complex ecosystems. Seeing all these critical roles laid out like this really shows us why understanding water's traits is absolutely crucial. Which brings us to Section 2, the secret, hydrogen bonds, the microscopic mechanism. So, the absolute secret ingredient to water's magic is hydrogen bonding. This happens because water has a polar structure. Think of a battery, with a positive end and a negative end. Well, water molecules act almost like tiny magnets floating around, naturally drawing toward one another because of those opposite charges. In practice, you can kind of visualize these polar molecules constantly reaching out and holding hands with each other. They just love to stick together. And this constant invisible hand-holding creates the whole foundation for everything we're about to learn today. Moving right along to Section 3, cohesion and surface tension, when water sticks to itself. Okay, so the crucial point to memorize for your homework is this simple comparison. Cohesion is water sticking to itself, while adhesion is water sticking to other surfaces. Really try to lock that mental split into your head because we're going to look at each one right now. Let's look a little closer at cohesion first. Because of those tiny magnetic charges we just talked about, water molecules are incredibly attracted to one another. This cohesion is exactly why water loves to stay together in tight little groups, forming those perfectly shaped droplets. If you want a great real-world example, just think of a rainy day. If you've ever seen rain beating up into perfect dome-like little droplets on a freshly waxed car, well, you are watching cohesion perfectly at work. The water would much rather stick to itself than spread out flat across the smooth wax. Now, because of that really strong cohesion pulling the molecules inwards and together, water actually develops a tight, skin-like layer on its top surface. And this is exactly what we call surface tension. And this is where it gets really fun. Because the molecules hold so tightly together at the surface, they create a literal barrier. This is exactly how a tiny water strider insect can just walk right across a pond without sinking. The water molecules are holding hands way too tightly to let the insect's tiny legs fall through. It's basically like a microscopic trampoline. All right, let's explore Section 4, adhesion in action, when water sticks to other things. Remember our comparison from earlier? Adhesion is water's amazing ability to stick to foreign surfaces. Now, this might sound super simple, but without it, life on Earth would be incredibly hard, if not completely impossible to sustain. Let's see how this builds into something called capillary action. Just look at these steps. Step 1, water sticks to the root walls of a plant. That's the adhesion. Step 2, it climbs up the thin stem. Honestly, just like water climbing up a thin straw in your iced drink. And Step 3, the plants receive life-saving water straight from the soil. This step-by-step process is literally the only way massive trees get water all the way up to their top branches, completely defying gravity. And that brings us to Section 5, divine design and purpose, the master plan behind the properties. Think about this for a moment. If water didn't have these exact, highly specific properties of cohesion and adhesion, plants would die because they couldn't draw water. Your blood, which is mostly water by the way, wouldn't flow properly in your veins. Life simply couldn't exist. Your lesson points out that water acts exactly as God intended, purposefully designed to sustain every living thing. This brings us beautifully to the scriptural connection in your review, Psalm 89, verse 9. It says, "You rule over the surging sea. When its waves mount up, you still them." The source material uses this verse to remind us of the belief that God has absolute control and purpose over the waters of the earth, from the crashing oceans all the way down to the microscopic hydrogen bonds we've just studied. And this ties right into the core philosophy of the HeroesMart Academy Godly Learners series, which argues that education must be paired with biblical morality. Why? Well, the lesson notes that just being smart and supposedly educated without a moral compass often leads to choices that hurt ourselves and others. On the flip side, Romans 8 verses 6 and 7 promise peace of mind to those who keep their minds spiritual. It's really about combining knowledge with wisdom.
So, just as water perfectly follows its designed purpose, doing exactly what it was created to do through cohesion and adhesion, your lesson leaves us with a final provocative thought. Will you use your own education to make purposeful choices that bring peace to your life and the lives around you? Take these lessons, study your vocabulary, and think about that bigger picture. I'll see you in the next explainer.